Okay, so the final space that you talk about in your book is working space. Now I'm curious, Donna, what is going on in the working space at the moment that is essentially fueling that overwhelm in that business? And have you got any specific examples that you can share of how your work in terms of creating more space in working space has helped any of your clients or anyone that you've worked with?
So the biggest thing about working space that I notice with the leaders that I'm working with are that they're not leading at the right level. So what happens is they're doing things that their team should be doing, or they're doing stuff on behalf of other parts of the business. And so I know delegation, people go, oh, I don't want to talk about delegation, but actually it's not just about, I'm getting other people to do stuff. It's like putting the work where it belongs. So I've got one client that I'm coaching at the moment that's had a massive breakthrough, literally in 3 sessions, who started just pushing back gently and respectfully, saying, pushing work down to their team. And they literally said to me the other day, it's going so well. I found myself one morning go, I don't think I've got anything to do today.
Oh,
and it wasn't that it was a bad moment, because they suddenly said what it meant, that their horizon went from looking down, suddenly they were looking up and out to the future around what could I do now that's going to help me in the future. My future self will thank me, right? They didn't use those exact words, but they said, what could I be doing now that's better in the future? So it said it's lifted their strategic game. So instead of just being down in the weeds, being really involved in everything, they've lifted and started to look out. So that's one example. But the other one that I think is most common, people are still telling me that they're spending all day in painful, wasteful meetings and then having to do their real work at night. So a couple of my coaching clients have started saying they only do meetings, say, between 10 and 3, and they give themselves the space at the beginning and the end of the day to get their important things done. And then I've got one global client that has just laid down the law, said no meetings on a Friday. So no one does meetings. And in fact, they've absolutely empowered their staff so well that even the most senior peeps in the organisation, normally you'd have this situation where if someone very senior invites me to a meeting, I better go, they're getting pushback. And so the culture from really the groundswell, from the culture from the bottom up, is driving that, and people are just saying, no, we're not doing meetings, or they're not accepting, or they're going back and saying, hang on a second, we're not supposed to do meetings on a Friday. So it's really working well, and it's giving people imagine that, a whole day, no meetings. Imagine that.
One day refund.
Absolutely.